The night was electric. A soft buzz of excitement filled the air as hundreds of fans gathered outside the Grand Arena. The stadium was hosting one of the most anticipated charity matches of the year, with stars from across the world flying in to support the cause. Among them, the name on everyone's lips was Cristiano Ronaldo. It wasn't just another football match. It was an event meant to inspire, to unite, to give back. The main entrance was crowded with reporters, security, and fans shouting Ronaldo's name, waving signs, and hoping to catch a glimpse of their hero. Amid this chaos, Ronaldo's black SUV pulled up quietly, blending into the background as much as a car carrying one of the most recognizable faces in the world could. But Ronaldo wasn't one to thrive on grand entrances. He had chosen the side entrance to avoid the crowd, hoping to walk in without drawing too much attention. As he stepped out of the car, dressed simply in jeans, a black hoodie, and sunglasses, he carried none of the arrogance people often associate with celebrities. His calm demeanor was interrupted by the sharp, commanding voice of a security guard standing by the gate. "Stop right there," the guard barked, his hand raised. Ronaldo paused, confused. The guard, a burly man with a no-nonsense attitude, stared at him, clearly not recognizing who he was. "This entrance is restricted. You need a pass to get in," the guard said firmly. Ronaldo pulled down his sunglasses, his eyes filled with patience. "I'm Ronaldo," he said, his voice calm but slightly surprised. The guard didn't flinch. "I don't care who you are. Without a pass, you're not getting in." For a moment, there was silence. The guard's words echoed in the narrow corridor leading to the stadium. A few staff members nearby turned to look, their jaws dropping as they realized who was standing there. But Ronaldo, rather than getting angry, simply smiled. "All right," he said quietly, his voice calm but with a hint of amusement. He didn't argue. He didn't pull rank. Instead, he stepped back, as if considering his next move. The staff nearby whispered nervously, "Does he not know who that is? Should we step in?" But Ronaldo held up a hand, stopping them. His face carried no anger, no frustration, only curiosity, as if testing to see how far this would go. The guard, meanwhile, remained stoic, determined not to budge. What Ronaldo did next wasn't what anyone expected. Instead of arguing or calling someone for help, he calmly walked back toward his car. The crowd outside remained unaware of what was unfolding, their chants growing louder by the minute. Inside, the staff stared, holding their breath. Everyone thought he was leaving, but Ronaldo wasn't the kind of man to give up. Not in football, not in life, and certainly not here. Just as the security guard returned to his post, thinking he had handled the situation, something unexpected happened. Ronaldo didn't get into his car. Instead, he opened the trunk and began rummaging through a bag, his movements calm and deliberate. The few staff members watching from the distance exchanged confused glances. "What's he doing?" one of them whispered. When Ronaldo finally stood up, he wasn't holding a pass or even his phone to call for assistance. He held something far simpler, a soccer ball. With that trademark glint of determination in his eyes, he began juggling it effortlessly, his feet working the ball with precision that only someone of his caliber could manage. The sound of the ball bouncing lightly on the concrete floor echoed in the corridor, catching the attention of even more staff and passers-by. The security guard turned, hearing the commotion. His eyebrows furrowed as he saw Ronaldo calmly performing tricks with the ball, completely unfazed. Around him, a small crowd started to form, the staff whispering in disbelief. One of them muttered, "How can he not recognize Ronaldo?" But Ronaldo wasn't doing it to prove his identity. Not directly, at least. As the ball flew higher into the air, he let it bounce off his knee, then his shoulder, and then his head, balancing it for a few seconds before flicking it back to his feet. His moves were mesmerizing, each one more elaborate than the last. By now, even the guard couldn't look away, though he maintained his strict posture. Finally, Ronaldo stopped. He caught the ball mid-air and walked back toward the guard, the crowd now completely silent, watching the interaction with bated breath. "So," Ronaldo said, holding up the ball like a peace offering. "Still think I need a pass?" The guard hesitated for a moment, his eyes darting between Ronaldo's face and the soccer ball in his hands. There was a flicker of doubt in his expression, as if he was beginning to realize his mistake. But instead of apologizing, he crossed his arms and stood firm. "Nice tricks," the guard said gruffly, "but rules are rules." A ripple of laughter and shock ran through the crowd. They couldn't believe the audacity of the guard, or the patience Ronaldo was displaying. Most celebrities would have lost their temper by now, but Ronaldo? He didn't flinch. "All right," Ronaldo said again, his voice still calm, almost amused. "Rules are rules." He stepped back, tossing the ball lightly from one hand to the other. The crowd around him was growing larger, whispers spreading like wildfire about what was happening at the side entrance. And then, without warning, Ronaldo kicked the ball gently toward the guard. The guard instinctively caught it, surprised by how light the touch was. But before he could say a word, Ronaldo grinned and added, "But sometimes, rules are worth bending, for the right reasons." The statement hung in the air, and for a moment, the guard seemed unsure of how to respond. The crowd watched, holding their breath as Ronaldo's words slowly sank in. But just when it seemed like the standoff was about to end, Ronaldo turned his head slightly, glancing toward the main entrance. What he saw there gave him an idea, one that would change the tone of the entire evening. Ronaldo's eyes fixed on the main entrance, where the energy was palpable. Fans were cheering, reporters were scrambling for sound bites, and the chaos felt alive with excitement. A sly smile crept across his face. Without saying another word, Ronaldo walked past the security guard, heading toward the crowd outside. The staff watching from the distance grew even more bewildered. "What's he doing now?" someone murmured. As Ronaldo approached the main gate, a hush fell over the area. The fans, noticing the familiar figure, erupted into deafening cheers. "Ronaldo! Ronaldo!" they screamed, their signs waving frantically in the air. Some pushed against the barriers, their hands reaching out as if touching him would change their lives forever. The reporters, cameras clicking furiously, surged forward like a tide. But Ronaldo wasn't interested in basking in their adoration. Instead, he walked toward the crowd with a purpose. Without a hint of hesitation, he stepped up to a young boy standing at the front of the barrier, clutching a worn-out football jersey. The boy, no older than 10, froze as Ronaldo leaned down, meeting him at eye level. "What's your name?" Ronaldo asked gently, his voice cutting through the chaos. "La Luis," the boy stammered, his eyes wide with disbelief. Ronaldo smiled, reaching out to shake the boy's trembling hand. "Luis, how would you like to be my guest tonight?" The crowd gasped. The boy's face lit up with a mix of shock and pure joy. "Me? Really?" he whispered, clutching his jersey tighter as if he might wake up from a dream. "Really," Ronaldo said with a nod. He turned to the security guards managing the main entrance. "Let him through. He's with me." The guards, unlike the one at the side entrance, immediately recognized Ronaldo and nodded, opening the gates to let the boy in. But Ronaldo wasn't done. He turned back to the crowd and gestured to a young woman holding a sign that read, "Ronaldo, you inspire me to fight every day." "And you too," he called out. "Come on, let's make tonight unforgettable." The woman's face crumpled with emotion, tears streaming as she clutched her chest. She stepped forward hesitantly, overwhelmed by the moment. Ronaldo extended his hand to her, his smile warm and genuine. "You've got a story to tell, don't you?" he asked, his tone inviting and curious. She nodded, barely able to speak. I wouldn't be here without you." The crowd erupted into cheers once more, the energy reaching a fever pitch. Ronaldo, now surrounded by his unexpected guests, led them toward the entrance, bypassing the chaos as the crowd parted for him like a sea. Fans chanted his name, their admiration for him reaching new heights. But Ronaldo didn't head straight for the VIP entrance as expected. Instead, he paused just outside the stadium and glanced back at the side entrance where the security guard was still standing, arms crossed. Ronaldo raised a hand, gesturing for the guard to join him. The guard hesitated, unsure what to make of the situation. The crowd turned to look, and whispers spread like wildfire. Slowly, almost reluctantly, the guard stepped forward. Ronaldo waited patiently, his expression calm but unreadable. "You're coming too," Ronaldo said firmly, his voice leaving no room for argument. The guard blinked, stunned. "Me? Why?" Ronaldo smiled faintly. "Because sometimes even the people who enforce the rules deserve to see what it feels like to be part of something bigger." The guard, clearly caught off guard by the unexpected gesture, nodded slowly. As he walked toward Ronaldo, the crowd erupted into applause, cheering for the man who moments earlier had refused to let their hero inside. It was a moment of redemption, one that no one in the audience would forget any time soon. Together, Ronaldo, his guests, and the guard entered the stadium, leaving behind a crowd that buzzed with awe and admiration. But for Ronaldo, this wasn't about the spectacle or the attention. It was about something much deeper, something that was about to unfold in the most surprising way. As Ronaldo led the group through the brightly lit corridors of the stadium, a mix of emotions rippled through the small entourage he had gathered. Luis clutched Ronaldo's hand tightly, his wide eyes darting around in awe. The young woman walked quietly beside them, tears still glistening on her cheeks, while the security guard trailed slightly behind, his face a mix of bewilderment and humility. When they reached the players' lounge, the atmosphere shifted. Players and staff paused mid-conversation, their faces lighting up as they saw Ronaldo enter. But it wasn't his presence alone that caught their attention. It was the unusual group following him. Whispers spread quickly. Who were these people? Why was a security guard and two fans with Ronaldo? Without waiting for anyone to question him, Ronaldo gestured for the young boy, Luis, to come forward. "Luis," he said, crouching to the boy's height. "Do you see that jersey over there?" He pointed to a neatly folded uniform on the bench, the iconic number 7 shining brightly on the back. The boy nodded hesitantly. "Yes." Ronaldo smiled. "That's yours now. Tonight, you're not just a fan, you're part of the team." Luis's jaw dropped. "Me? On the team?" "Yes," Ronaldo said with a grin. "But you'll have to sit with the players and cheer them on. Think you can handle that?" The boy nodded furiously, his face breaking into the biggest smile imaginable. The players nearby cheered, clapping Luis on the back as he was handed the jersey. But Ronaldo wasn't done. He turned to the young woman who was still overwhelmed by the moment. "Tell me," he said gently, "what's your story?" She hesitated, glancing nervously at the room full of strangers. But Ronaldo's gaze was kind, encouraging her to speak. I lost my husband 2 years ago," she began softly. "He was a huge fan of yours. Watching you play was his dream, and after he passed, it became mine too. You've been my strength through it all." The room fell silent, the weight of her words hanging in the air. Ronaldo nodded solemnly, his expression filled with understanding. "You're stronger than you realize," he said, "and tonight you'll watch the game from the best seat in the house." He gestured to the VIP area, and her tears returned as she whispered, "Thank you." Finally, Ronaldo turned to the security guard. The man shifted uncomfortably, clearly unsure of why he was there. "You're probably wondering why I brought you along," Ronaldo said with a slight smile. The guard nodded hesitantly. "Honestly, yes." Ronaldo stepped closer, his tone calm but firm. "Because you remind me of something important. You followed the rules, even when it wasn't easy. That takes courage. But life isn't just about following rules. It's about knowing when to break them for the right reasons." The guard's face softened, the tension in his shoulders easing. I was just doing my job." "And you did it well," Ronaldo said. "But sometimes, opportunities to do something greater come when we least expect them. Tonight I want you to see the impact of bending the rules, not just for me, but for everyone out there." The guard nodded, his respect for Ronaldo growing with every word. The crowd outside the lounge was growing louder, the energy spilling into the stadium as the match was about to begin. Ronaldo turned to his guests and smiled. Let's give them a night to remember. As they entered the pitch together, Ronaldo, Luis in his new jersey, the young woman with her head held high and the humbled security guard, the stadium erupted into cheers. The cameras zoomed in on the scene, the commentators struggling to explain what they were witnessing. It wasn't just a football match anymore. It was a story of kindness, humility, and the power of making every person feel seen. The moment went viral almost instantly, with millions sharing the scene and praising Ronaldo for his extraordinary gesture. That night, Ronaldo didn't just score goals, he reminded the world that true greatness lies not in fame or power, but in the ability to lift others up, even in the smallest ways. And as the stadium lights dimmed and the crowd roared, one thing was clear. Everyone who witnessed that night had been touched in a way they would never forget.